Ladies and gentlemen, storms come. They do not ask permission. They arrive with thunder on their tongues, shaking the earth, bending trees, flooding rivers. The skies darken, winds howl, and the world seems on the brink of breaking. Yet through it all, the rock remains, unmoved, silent, whole. There is a lesson here, one carved not in books, but in nature, in endurance, in being. Life, too, brings storms, not of water, but of loss, of betrayal, of pain, of sudden change and slow decay. We are tempted to believe that the measure of our strength lies in what we can control. But the rock teaches otherwise. The rock does not stop the rain. It does not reason with the sky. It does not beg for clearer weather. It simply is. In the same way, we must learn to stand not in resistance to the rain, but in acceptance of it. To face hardship without complaint, insult without retaliation, and suffering without self-pity, not because we enjoy pain, but because we know what we are. Steady, firm, grounded. Do not seek shelter in illusion or distraction. Seek instead the calm center within yourself, the place untouched by wind or word, where your reason lives and your virtue breathes. Others may bend. Let them. Others may chase comfort. Let them. You remain. Let fortune come and go. Let others rise and fall by her favor. You remain. When insult is hurled, remain unmoved. When praise is sung, remain unmoved. For neither defines you. You are not the storm, nor the shifting clouds, nor the cold that creeps in its wake. You are the rock. And the rain will pass. Thank you. Rain falls without invitation. It does not knock on the door of the earth and ask if it may descend. It does not wait for the approval of the hills or the acceptance of the trees. It comes because it must, because it is in its nature to fall. In the same way, adversity in life arrives unannounced. It does not care for schedules, plans, dreams, or readiness. It appears when it chooses, and it does so with the same inevitability and indifference as the rain. Many spend their lives trying to resist this truth. They seek to organize the uncontrollable, to protect themselves with layers of preparation and illusion, hoping that difficulty can be kept at bay by good intentions, careful planning, or the simple force of wishing. But life does not bend to the desires of human comfort. Misfortune does not consult our preferences. There is no amount of wealth, power, reputation, or success that can insulate us from the natural rhythm of challenge, loss, and change. The harder we try to resist it, the more we suffer, not from the hardship itself, but from our insistence that it should not be happening. The wise understand that adversity is not a detour on the path of life. It is part of. To live at all is to be vulnerable to pain, to encounter difficulty, to lose things and people, to fail, to be misunderstood, to fall short. These things are not punishments. They are elements of the human experience. They fall on the just and the unjust, on the prepared and the unprepared, with the same steady certainty that rain falls on mountain and meadow alike. Resistance, then, is not only futile, it is a source of deeper misery. To demand that the world conform to your expectations is to invite constant disappointment. To believe you are entitled to a smooth life is to set yourself up for confusion and bitterness. The rain will come, and if you spend all your energy shouting at the clouds, you will miss the opportunity to stand firm and grow stronger. What matters is not the arrival of adversity, but our posture when it arrives. There are those who collapse under the first gust of wind, who scream at the sky, who curse the storm, hoping to frighten it away. And then there are those who recognize the storm for what it is, temporary, impersonal, and revealing. For adversity does not just happen to us, it reveals us. It shows us the sturdiness of our foundations, the flexibility of our beliefs, the truth of our self-discipline. It is easy to claim virtue when the sun is shining. It is in the downpour that your strength, or the lack of it, becomes visible. The futility of resistance does not mean passive defeat. It means wise acceptance, not a shrug, not apathy, but a sober understanding. This is how life works. To deny this is to deny reality itself. Rain does not ask you to like it. Adversity does not ask you to welcome it with joy, but it does demand recognition. And once you recognize that it is part of the cycle, part of the structure of existence, you can begin to shift your energy from resisting it to responding to it. Just as the earth absorbs the rain and gives rise to new growth, so too can hardship be absorbed and transformed, but only if you stop treating it like an enemy. The storm is not personal. It is not sent to punish or destroy you. It simply is. Your role is not to stop it, but to outlast it, not to fight it, but to face it. Power is often misunderstood. Many believe it is found in dominance, in control, in the ability to command people and events to bend to their will. They imagine strength as something loud, forceful, visible. But there is another kind of strength, one far more enduring and far less dependent on the approval of the world. It is quiet, grounded, and inward-facing. It does not rush to act, does not panic when conditions change, and does not crumble under pressure. It is the strength of stillness, the strength of the rock that remains while all else moves around it. To remain unmoved by external conditions is not weakness, it is mastery. The rock does not boast. It does not threaten the wind, nor does it compete with the river. It simply endures. This endurance is not a passive thing, not a lifeless resistance, but an active force. It is clarity. It is stability. It is a deep understanding of what truly belongs to us and what does not, what we control and what we must release. To know this difference and live by it is the root of all true strength. Control is fleeting. At any given moment, your health can fail. Your plans can collapse, your reputation can be questioned, your loved ones can leave, or your fortune can vanish. These are not hypothetical tragedies, they are real possibilities, and no amount of striving can guarantee they will not touch you. If your sense of power is built on your grip over these things, then your strength is an illusion, a castle built on sand. The first wave will take it down. Stillness, by contrast, cannot be taken. It comes from the alignment of your actions with your principles. It comes from the discipline of mastering your desires, of keeping your thoughts clear when provoked, of choosing how to respond rather than reacting out of impulse. It is the pause between the storm and your reply. It is the awareness that you are not obligated to participate in every fight, not required to have an opinion about everything, not beholden to every emotion that arises. There is strength in restraint, strength in simplicity, strength in silence. True stillness is not inaction. It is intentional action. It is not retreat from life, but full engagement with it, without becoming enslaved to its chaos. It is being fully present and yet untouched by the drama that surrounds. The person who can remain composed while others lose their heads, who can endure misfortune without losing their integrity, who can face insult without seeking vengeance, such a person possesses a form of strength that cannot be given or taken by external means. This kind of power does not seek to dominate others, but to master the self. It is not concerned with appearances, with titles, with outward achievements, because it knows those things are not where stability lies. What good is control over others if you have no control over your own temper? What use is influence if your mind is a battlefield of conflicting desires and unexamined fears? To be strong in the Stoic sense is to possess a calm center, one that remains whole no matter what happens on the outside. The rock does not need to move to prove its presence. It exists with quiet certainty. It does not change to match the moods of the sky. It does not chase after clouds or run from rain. Its very nature is to endure, to remain itself through all seasons. That is the model. That is the challenge. To develop such a self firm in judgment, disciplined in conduct, and at peace with reality as it unfolds. When others grasp for control, let them. When others are shaken by every wind, observe. Not from arrogance, but from understanding. Not from detachment, but from depth. To accept what we cannot change is not an act of weakness or resignation. It is the highest expression of reason. Many confuse acceptance with giving up, as though yielding to reality is to be defeated by it. But acceptance is not about surrendering your will or abandoning your values. It is about aligning yourself with the truth. It is recognizing what lies within your power and what lies beyond it. To see clearly is the first act of strength. To act only where action is possible, and to release what cannot be held, is wisdom. There is no benefit in arguing with facts. The world moves as it does, not as we wish. The sun rises and sets without our permission. People speak, act, and think in ways we do not control. The past is already written. The future remains uncertain. Between these two unknowns lies only this moment, and even within it, our influence is limited. When pain arrives, it arrives. When others wrong us, they do so. When fortune shifts, it does not consult our comfort. These things are not shaped by our desires, and to expect otherwise is to be trapped in a cycle of frustration and bitterness. The wise do not demand that the world change for their peace. They adjust themselves to the world. This is not a denial of effort, nor a rejection of striving for betterment, but a proper ordering of energy. They act where their effort can bear fruit and remain still where effort would be wasted. This is not a lack of passion, it is a discipline of the soul. When the sea rises, they do not shout at the waves. They strengthen their boat or find shelter. When others speak ill, they do not chase after every whisper. They remain rooted in self-knowledge. Acceptance is not passivity. It is the opposite. It is the most deliberate stance you can take. To accept does not mean to approve. It means you see clearly, respond with balance, and waste no energy on what cannot be controlled. You do not become entangled in resentment, nor do you deny the existence of difficulty. You face it head-on, without illusion, without complaint. You neither cling to the way things used to be, nor do you daydream about how they should be. You meet things as they are. Many fear acceptance because they believe it means they must welcome suffering. But acceptance is not the embrace of pain. It is the refusal to be broken by it. It is the firm gaze that says, "And this has come. Now what will I do within it?" The one who accepts is not the one who collapses, but the one who stands. They are not distracted by wishes or bitterness. They are focused, deliberate, and free from the exhausting need to control the uncontrollable. There is power in letting go of what was never yours to hold. The opinions of others, the outcomes of events, the timing of life's turning points, none of these belong to you. What is yours is your character, your reason, your conduct. If your peace depends on anything else, it is unstable. But if it rests on the firm ground of what lies within your grasp, it cannot be shaken. Acceptance, then, is not about being content with misfortune, but about being undisturbed by its presence. It is not about avoiding emotion, but about understanding that emotions are not commands. They arise, they pass, and you remain the one who chooses how to respond. To live well is not to escape life's storms, but to navigate them with clarity and calm. Acceptance allows for that clarity. It creates space between what happens and how you meet it. It teaches you that suffering is amplified by resistance, that peace grows in the soil of surrender to reality as it is. To be praised or blamed is to be seen through the eyes of others, and the eyes of others are not always clear. They are shaped by opinion, by emotion, by bias, by expectation. What one person calls wisdom, another may call foolishness. What one sees as strength, another may see as threat. If your sense of self rises and falls with the voices around you, you become like a ship with no anchor, adrift, subject to every change in wind and tide. But to remain steady, regardless of praise or blame, is to possess a deeper kind of stability. It fills the mind with warmth, with the illusion of importance. It feeds the ego and creates a hunger to be admired again and again. Yet what is praise, really? It is someone else's opinion, shaped by their understanding, by their mood, by what they value in that moment. You may be praised today and forgotten tomorrow. You may be admired by those who barely know you, or flattered by those who seek their own gain. If your peace depends on the approval of others, it will always be temporary. You will chase applause, not virtue. You will perform, not live. Blame, on the other hand, stings. It can provoke anger, shame, self-doubt. But like praise, blame is often inaccurate, sometimes deserved, often not. People blame out of misunderstanding, fear, projection. They may blame you for truths they do not want to face, or for decisions you made that challenge their comfort. To allow blame to define you is to give others power over your sense of worth. You become reactive, defensive, easily wounded. If you know your intentions, if you act with integrity, then you can endure blame without collapse. Neither praise nor blame should shake the foundation of your character. You are not better because someone calls you great, nor worse because someone calls you a failure. These judgments are external. What matters is whether you have lived in accordance with reason, whether your actions match your values, whether your words reflect truth. If you know you have done what is right, then praise adds nothing to you. If you have acted wrongly, then even the highest praise is hollow. What others say is not the measure, your own conscience is. To remain steady in the face of praise is to remember that flattery can be a trap. It can lead to complacency, to arrogance, to a dependence on being admired. It tempts you to become the image others enjoy, rather than the person you are. True strength is found in humility, not the false humility that seeks compliments through denial, but the quiet confidence that does not require recognition to stand firm. To remain steady in the face of blame is to resist the urge to justify yourself at every turn. Not every attack deserves a response. Not every misunderstanding needs correction. Sometimes the wisest reply is silence. Not from pride, but from clarity. You know who you are. You know why you chose what you chose. If you have erred, dared, correct it. If you have not, let the winds of opinion pass over you without pulling you from your course. This balance is not easily found. It requires daily practice, a constant return to inner reflection. When praised, ask yourself whether it was deserved. When blamed, ask whether there is truth in it. In both cases, turn inward. Do not be quick to believe the best or the worst about yourself based solely on what others think. Seek instead a deeper knowledge, a knowledge rooted in reason, in consistency, in self-discipline. The world will always have something to say. Let it speak. You do not need to rise or fall with every word. Virtue is not decoration for the self. It is not an accessory worn to impress others or to meet the expectations of a moral society. It is the core of who we are, the stable ground beneath the shifting layers of our identity, the compass by which we navigate a world full of confusion and conflict. In a life where so much lies outside our control, where fortune changes, people come and go, and events unfold without our consent, virtue is the one thing that truly belongs to us. It is not given by birth, not dependent on status or luck. It is earned, chosen, practiced. When the storm arrives, when comfort is stripped away and plans are torn apart, it is not wealth or charm or reputation that holds a person together. It is character, and character is shaped by virtue, by courage, by justice, by temperance, by wisdom. These are not abstract ideas. They are living principles. They are what keep a person from collapsing into bitterness when life wounds them. They are what stop someone from becoming cruel when they are hurt or deceitful when they are afraid. Virtue is the steady presence that reminds us what kind of person we have committed to being, even when no one is watching. In the pursuit of external success, many forget this foundation. They chase achievements, applause, influence, believing that these things will bring peace. But peace does not come from accumulation. It comes from alignment. When your actions match your values, when your words match your beliefs, when your choices reflect your principles, there is an integrity that no external force can undo. You may lose much, but you do not lose yourself. And that is everything. Virtue is not always rewarded. The world may not notice your discipline, your honesty, your restraint. In fact, you may be mocked for it. You may be overlooked. You may be told that your refusal to cheat, to lie, to manipulate is naive. But virtue does not seek reward. It seeks only to be itself. Like a fire that burns quietly, it gives warmth not by demand but by nature. The recognition of others is not its fuel. The praise of others is not its goal. It simply is. In moments of pressure, when shortcuts appear tempting and compromise seems easy, virtue becomes the anchor. It says, do not trade what is right for what is easy. Do not abandon who you are to gain what you might soon lose. When others betray, virtue says, remain honest. When others indulge every desire, virtue says, remain measured. When others justify cruelty in the name of strength, virtue says, remain just. This is not weakness. This is strength in its purest form, the strength to hold fast to truth when it costs some. There is a calmness that comes with living by virtue. It is not the calm of a life without problems, but the calm of a person who knows they have nothing to hide. They do not fear being exposed. They do not carry the weight of lies or the anxiety of pretense. They move through the world with a quiet dignity grounded in their own values. Even in sorrow they are whole. Even in confusion they are steady. They are not at the mercy of fortune because their foundation is not built on things fortune can touch. This inner anchoring is not built overnight. It is developed through repeated choices, through small acts of discipline, through reflection, through failure and correction. It is tested in hardship, shaped in silence, proven not by words, but by the life lived. When storms come, and they will, it is virtue that holds you upright. When all else is uncertain, it is virtue that reminds you who you are. When the world demands that you compromise what you know is right, it is virtue that gives you the strength to remain unchanged. Storms do not last. They come with sound and fury, tearing across the landscape, disrupting peace, breaking patterns, challenging what was But even as they rage, they begin to fade. Their energy is finite. Their violence is loud but temporary. The skies darken, the winds howl, the rain lashes against the ground. But always, eventually, the silence returns. The clouds pass. The sun breaks through, the storm leaves, and something remains. That something, if it is strong enough, if it is rooted deep enough, if it has not compromised its nature, is you. In life, storms come in many forms: grief, loss, betrayal, failure, shame, uncertainty. They do not announce themselves, they do not ask permission to enter your life, and they do not wait for your readiness. They arrive, they press down, they test. When they come, they seem endless, they distort time and shake foundations. In the middle of the storm, you forget the feeling of calm. You forget what it was like before the wind rose. You fear it will never end. But even the fiercest storm has limits. What it cannot reach, what it cannot touch, is what you guard within. To remain while the storm passes is not a matter of force. It is not about resisting the wind with clenched fists or shouting back at the thunder. It is about rootedness. It is about presence. The tree that bends does not break. The mountain that endures does not shout. Strength is not noise. It is not drama. It is the quiet certainty that while all else changes, you do not lose yourself. You do not abandon your principles. You do not forget your discipline. You do not become the storm. The person who survives storms with their integrity intact is not immune to pain. They feel the cold. They know fear. They suffer, grieve, bleed, ache. But beneath that, they are unmoved in a way that cannot be seen by the eye. Their values are not up for negotiation. Their clarity is not shaken by the panic of the moment. They trust in the nature of change, that nothing stays the same, that everything difficult will one day soften, that endurance is stronger than force. There are moments when the temptation is to become the storm, to strike back, to lash out, to lose control because the world seems cruel or unjust. But to do that is to become what you suffer from. To mirror the chaos is to let it define you. That is not strength. That is surrender in disguise. The real test is whether you can remain who you are when everything around you pushes you to be something else. Whether you can hold the line within yourself when every outer line has shifted. Endurance is not merely survival, it is purposeful survival. It is surviving without corruption. To last through hardship is one thing. To last without bitterness, without hate, without losing the ability to love, to reason, to be generous even when no one is generous to you, that is something far greater. That is not just the absence of breaking. That is the presence of virtue in the midst of struggle. Every storm leaves behind damage, but it also leaves behind clarity. You see what matters. You see what stood firm. And often you see that you were stronger than you imagined. Not because you controlled the storm, but because you remained yourself through it. That knowledge is not given, it is earned. It cannot be taught, it must be lived. You must stand still in the wind and say nothing. And when the silence returns, you will know the weight of what you carried and the depth of what you preserved. To outlast is not always to win in the worldly sense. It may not be loud or visible, but it is real. There is a quiet dignity in the one who has endured much and remained kind. There is a nobility in the one who has walked through fire and not let it harden their heart. The storm will pass. It always does. What you choose to be in the middle of it, that is what remains. The storm will pass. It always does. What you choose to be in the middle of it, that is what remains. Let the winds howl, let the rain fall. Be the rock.